contest is scheduled for one fall. On the way to the ring, Raven and Perry Saturn and The Fallen. Their opponents first, representing the Four Horsemen from Cincinnati, Ohio, weighing 226 pounds, the loose cannon, Pillman. And his tag team partner, representing the Four Horsemen from Robbinsdale, Minnesota, Mr. Pathetic.
Tag team match here tonight between the Flock, Raven and Saturn, and Brian Pillman and Mr. Perfect of the Four Horsemen. Now we have a couple of story elements going on in this match. You could say, as Brian Pillman and Mr. Perfect had to fight their way to stay in the Four Horsemen last week, they fought against their fellow, at least former Four Horsemen, Lex Luger. As you see Raven come over to our announce table right away, very eager to get into Raven's rules here. This is not a Raven's rules matchup, however, as it's a tag team matchup. As you get Raven sending Brian Pillman back into the middle of the ring, the loose cannon, if you will. These two very antagonistic characters of the Four Horsemen ended up being the victors when Lex Luger quit the match due to an NWO interference. Now we'll be seeing the results of that interference later on in another tag team matchup. As you see, a nice leg maneuver by Raven, kick to the gut by Raven to Brian Pillman. Huge running bulldog all the way into that corner. Getting a lot of air on that bulldog, and now a couple of shots into the head. Raven trying to bust open the head of Brian Pillman. As you get him attacking the arm now. And another couple of punches to the face. Raven getting attacked now. Attacking Brian Pillman from behind. Now lifting up Brian Pillman by the leg once again, sending him down to the mat. Brian Pillman getting up now. Huge dropkick by Raven, a move we don't see from him very often. Raven is a very brawler-based wrestler, a veteran of ECW, but came into his own in WCW where he was a World Heavyweight Champion for quite some time. As you see Brian Pillman now getting on the offensive now, as well as Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, sending Mr. Raven into the middle of the ring. Now will Raven take this opportunity to go over? No, he's going to tackle Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, into our announce table. Perhaps setting up to put him through that announce table. Actually, no, going back into the middle of that ring. Going to grab Brian Pillman as he gets in and send him over the top once again, sending that back of Brian Pillman into that ringside, into that apron. As you see Mr. Hennig sending Raven back into the ring. Pillman coming in afterwards, stopping the count at 3. Getting Raven in the middle of that ring. Will he make a tag? Yes. Curt Hennig, now the legal man for the Four Horsemen. Now we'll be seeing the Four Horsemen 2 other times here tonight. Dean Malenko in the Cruiserweight matchup. As you see, a head leg scissors onto Raven by one of the great submission wrestlers, Curt Hennig, as we get a nice camel clutch, wrenching the neck back. Raven has had injuries to the back, as have many wrestlers. As you get a pickup from Raven, headlock onto Curt Hennig. A couple of punches to the face once again. That brawler mentality. As you get a couple of shots to the back of Curt Hennig. Curt Hennig getting up now. Big elbow. Huge shot to the face. Curt Hennig, the fresher man, able to send Raven into the corner for a tag team maneuver with his new tag partner. As he pushes the referee out of the way for a double hip toss and a double nice front flip. We get a couple shots to the face from Brian Pillman as Curt Hennig is trying to get out of the ring. As the ref now grabbing Hennig, getting him out of there. Brian Pillman took that opportunity to choke out Raven. Raven actually shouldn't have been choked out there. Should have got yelled at by the referee, but the referee was distracted by Curt Hennig. Some nice teamwork by these two great aggressive wrestlers. As you see, huge shot to the gut by Raven, and now a nice reverse neckbreaker. Picking up Mr. Perfect once again, not letting up on the aggression, sending him out to the outside. What will Raven do here? Huge elbow onto the concrete. Is he grabbing him, sending him into that table? Not quite getting him to get onto that table, however. The armbar onto Mr. Perfect. He's going to send him into the ring once again. At that 4 count, huge elbow to the face by Raven. Raven looking for a big win here. He's had a hard time getting victories here. Lost to Scott Hall, who will be seeing later tonight as he gets dragged in the middle of the ring. Raven holding his gut. That elbow didn't get all of it, but it surely did hurt Raven at least a little bit. As we see Mr. Perfect running to the outside. Saturn finally getting to be a part of this matchup. Grabbing Mr. Perfect, sending him into those steel steps. Sending him to those steel steps once again. Whipping Mr. Perfect into those steel steps multiple times, weakening the legs, weakening the power behind that Perfect Plex. As we see, a very nice suplex onto the concrete by Mr. Perfect. Huge elbow. And now Mr. Perfect grabbing the steel steps. He's going to do a little bit of Raven's rules, but Raven's not having it. Raven misses that elbow there. Saturn picking Mr. Perfect up out of the way. Perry Saturn, a great wrestler. We'll be seeing the third member of the flock, Billy Kidman, later on in a last man standing match against X-Pac, as we see him pick up Mr. Perfect for a sidewalk slam onto the mat. He's right there flat in the middle of the ring. You could get the win here, Raven. You got this, but he's going to pick up Mr. Perfect and look for a big move, perhaps. Sending him out to the outside, into those steel steps, in fact, hurting the wrist of Mr. Perfect. You can see him holding his wrist after he fell out to the outside. And Chris Benoit, a third member of the Four Horsemen, coming out to the ring to aid his teammates in this matchup. As you see, huge elbow to the face of Raven. We're going to hear Saturn gets set up by Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit walking around the ring, stalking now, keeping an eye on his other Horsemate members. We'll be seeing him later tonight in the main event where he defends his United States title against Diamond Dallas Page. As you see Saturn now get into the middle of that ring. Mr. Loose Cannon, Brian Pillman getting into the ring. We got a tag team maneuver. Not quite. As you see Brian Pillman go over to the top rope for a huge clothesline. Springboard clothesline. Pattern. Saturn down to the bottom of the ring. Oh my god. Absolute chaos after that huge move by Pillman. But Saturn has just started getting into this match. Saturn has a huge amount of energy left in him. But he goes for a second one. Springboard clothesline. Sending him down to the mat once again. Will the second clothesline end the match? One. No. Saturn has enough energy to go through those two huge springboard clotheslines from Brian Pillman. As he sends Saturn into the corner for an actual tag team maneuver now. Sends him into the corner. He's going to send him across the ring for a nice sidewalk slam / reverse DDT. As we get Saturn now picked up by Curt Hennig. Curt Hennig's going to send him over the top rope out to the outside. Saturn landing on his feet but falling back down. As Chris Benoit, a third member of the Four Horsemen, now sends Mr. Saturn, Perry Saturn, back into the middle of the ring. Huge elbow to the face and a little bit of cooling off for Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, as he picks up Saturn after doing a little bit of a stretch on the outside of the ring. He's going to send Saturn back onto the outside. He's going to perhaps try and do a huge elbow into that concrete. Punish him with the concrete and steel that is on the outside of our arena. As you see a huge elbow now, sending him into the middle of the ring once again. Curt Hennig at a 4 count as we hear some murmurings in the background. We do not see Raven. Perhaps he has been taken out. As we see Saturn go over the top rope to meet Mr. Perfect. As we see Raven getting attacked by Chris Benoit, the Rabid Wolverine. As you see Saturn get elbowed in that face once more. 3 elbows to the face now as Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, looks to get back into that ring. Perhaps finish this match against the Flock. As he sends Saturn over the ring once more. He wants to put him in that table. He goes for the elbow once again. And Loose Cannon, Brian Pillman, sends him back into the ring once again. As Mr. Perfect does another elbow to the face. Sending him to the ring once again. Will he send him out to try and get him through that table, or will he go for a pin here? He's got the perfect plex. No, he did a huge gut buster there. Now he's going to put him in a submission maneuver, perhaps? No, actually trying to hurt the arm. Trying to weaken those rings of Saturn. Now dragging him into the middle of that ring for a pin. 1. Perry Saturn kicking out right away. That maneuver on the arm isn't enough to get him out of this matchup. As he sends him over the top rope once again. Perry Saturn able to land on his feet once again. Couple of elbows coming in from the Four Horsemen. As you see, Perry Saturn gets sent into the ring by Loose Cannon, Brian Pillman. Elbow to the face by Hennig. Hennig walking around to the other side of the ring. He's looking a little bit winded. He has run around this ring quite a bit so far in this matchup as he sends Saturn over the top rope once again. Huge elbow. Now, Loose Cannon sending him to the ring again. These two Four Horsemen having communication issues as this is his first time primarily working together. As you see, a nice maneuver now, sending Saturn over the top rope once again. Brian Pillman got to pick him up right away, send him back into that ring. Just trying to punish his legs by sending him over the top rope now. Having him to land on those legs. They're absolutely going to become jelly. These gut busters. As he tags in Loose Cannon, Brian Pillman. As we get a huge elbow to the face. Hot tag into Brian Pillman. Huge clothesline by Saturn. Will Saturn now? Saturn now gets the hot tag into Raven. Raven might be able to turn this around with a huge shot to the face of Brian Pillman. And now getting into the face of Curt Hennig. Will Raven be able to close out this matchup against Brian Pillman, or will this match continue? As you see a huge European uppercut by Brian Pillman getting him into that enemy corner. He's going to whip him into that enemy corner and do a tag team maneuver perhaps. No, actually put him up on the top rope. Huge shot to the face. He's going to go up to the top rope. And oh my, he's angled to go to the outside. He's all the way to the outside. He slammed him down into the concrete all the way from the top rope. Oh my God, he just broke Raven in half. Curt Hennig helping out with the trash duty, sending Raven back in the middle of the ring. Raven getting right back up. Adrenaline flowing for Raven here. Loose cannon and Raven fighting over where they want to fight as they continuously go in and out of the ring. As Raven wants to fight on the outside, as it seems. And Raven taunting to the crowd. Loose cannon was running away from him. And he runs away from him again and calling in Hennig. He wants Hennig to finish this matchup against Raven. He just took so much damage by that huge superplex. And we see Raven now in his own corner. Will he get superplexed again by Curt Hennig? It seems like he will be, but he'll land in the middle of the ring. It's going to be a softer landing, but a second one after that devastating concrete. Here he goes for the pin here. 1, 2. Oh my God, Raven able to kick out here as he gets a tie up once again between Mr. Perfect and Raven. Raven with a headlock. Huge bulldog, as we saw early on in the matchup by Raven. Raven calling for a big move here, grabbing the head, and DDT busted open. He just busted open Curt Hennig. Saturn taking out Brian Pillman. 1, 2, 3. The Flock are able to take one over the Four Horsemen.